Thank you. We are fortunate to have Leander Stenmeyer here to give a background of the St. Lucas Legion Post 691 and its beginnings. Want to do the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Miss it.
I've never seen so many people here on the road before in my life. Are you all lost? I got a unique task this afternoon to bring you up to date on this monument here. It started a long time ago. Actually, it started out when I came back from service in early 1946. And found that there wasn't any organization here at all. And so I promptly asked around. I said, "You want to join the Legion?" Yeah, everybody wanted to join the Legion. So okay, I wrote to the headquarters and got an application for a charter, and they sent me a charter, and we had enough Legionnaires or pending Legionnaires to get a good charter, and that from then on the fun started. We had to have a clubhouse. You know, you can't have an organization with nothing. You got to have someplace to meet. So that was the next project, getting a clubhouse. Well, I just happened to own about 10 acres there on the edge of town. So I volunteered. I says, "I'll give you a place to put the Legion Hall." I said, "The only trouble is, I make a stipulation. You've either got to keep it up or I'm going to take it back again." And Freddie Mitchell and I guess Joe Hageman were the two that approached me and says, "We can't do that." Says, "We got to have a clear title to it." And I said, "Okay, I'll give you title to it, but I'll make a stipulation that if the thing deteriorates or something like that, it's going to go back to me." Well, it didn't take long for us to build a 24 by 30 foot clubhouse. It was right on where Mark Mim is now, just south of his house. And it wasn't a very big edifice, let's put it that way, but it did the purpose. We had our meetings there. We had coon suppers there. We had chicken fries there. And even a squirrel or two suppers, so everything was taken care of. And we had a bar and a jukebox there, so all our other things were taken care of. Incidentally, the bar from that old Legion Hall is in the community center here that's still serving, where they serve the food over, so it's not a complete loss. But after about 50 years, there was a lack of interest in the building, and we had another building here, the community center, which took over, so nobody wanted the thing, and it came back again to me, and it was in no state of repair again, so that faded into the wild blue laundry, yes, let's put it that way. that have a little connection to this beautiful monument here, in that I knew both of the people for which it was honored. I met Father Al when I was 6 years old. I was staying with my grandmother here at the time in St. Lucas during the winter. Father Al was home from college, and I don't know, somehow or other, Grandma got a hold of me and says, "Why don't you go and see whether Father Al wants to play checkers?" So he sure did. He wanted to play checkers. And I don't know if I beat him or not. I doubt it, because he was a college man and I was only in the first grade. But I was pretty clever at the checkers too. So, and then years went by. He was ordained, and I was his master at the first mass. So I remember him real well. We had conversations off and on, and about going into the service even. I didn't know that he was going to really wanted to go, but he did. And the same way for Jim Cruzy, I was a speaking acquaintance with him. So I feel kind of honored that this is an extension of a very sacred place, if you want to call it that. And when you're going by up the road here, take a look over here and doff your hat or bow your head or something, because I want everybody to believe this is a reverent place, one as sacred almost as a cemetery. I'm going to leave you now and let somebody else speak, because I've kind of tried to get things where they were and where they are now. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Lee. Good evening, everyone. What a beautiful memorial. 5 years ago, the St. Lucas Legion began talking about erection of Veterans Memorial. The only problem was they couldn't find a suitable place to build it. About 3 years ago, after this building was removed, south of the community center where we're standing, was taken down, they inquired whether the lot was available. This lot was owned by Dr. Dwayne and Susan Noose and family, and previously operated the Town and Country Veterinary Clinic. After visiting with Susan Noose, they found out that she absolutely loved the idea of placing the Veterans Memorial on this lot. She donated it in the honor of her husband, Dwayne, who was in the Navy veteran. Thank you to Susan Noose and to your family for this gift. At this time, Eileen Noose Conaflax, daughter of Dwayne and Susan, would like to say a few words.
Anyone that knows me knows that I have more than a few words to say. So, thank you for this opportunity tonight to speak at today's event, honoring the individuals of the St. Lucas community who so unselfishly served our country to protect our freedoms. Today, the Noose, Hickok, and Kennefax families are very proud and humbled to be able to support this incredible endeavor taken on by the American Legion 691 and the city of St. Lucas. Many years ago, a young couple moved into this community to raise their family and to honor their dream of serving the farmers through the Town and Country Veterinary Clinic. Those two people are my dad, Dr. Wayne Hughes, and my mom, Sue. Together they opened the Town and Country Veterinary Clinic, which once stood on this spot. Though one can say it was just a building, I know that many would argue it was part of the heart of this community for many years. When we as a family began discussing donating the property to the city of St. Lucas, many stories began to resurface about this place we called the office. I recall the many days that were spent listening to Andy Boyer share the news of the day as he sat on the church bench smoking his cigarette. I remember Cletus coming in for his morning cup of coffee, and if there was any left, Dad used it to water the plants that were in the window. I remember the night of the big snowstorm, and my mom delivered 2 sets of Suffolk Lamb twins in the back storage room because Dad was out on a call. My mom from the city. My siblings and I played for hours in the back playroom, we called it, assisted our dad with small animal surgeries, usually our own animals, and were always on cleanup duty on Saturday mornings. Such fond memories only made the decision to donate the property that much easier. Dad was never a wasteful person. He could always find a need for everything he had. If he found a screw on the floor, Dad would find a board to put it into and create something beautiful. Today, this memorial is something beautiful that has been created out of the love and the admiration for this community and its members. I want to just reflect on a belief that I have. I believe that loved ones visit us in many ways after they are gone. Every time I see a red cardinal, I think of my dad. I don't know why, his memory, but it just arrives when I see or hear a cardinal. And I expect to see a cardinal over this weekend, as I know that my dad is with me and all of us as we welcome everyone to this memorial park. He would have loved having a place to just come and sit, read, and drink his coffee. Of course, this creation, this beautiful memorial could not have been done without the vision and the ideas and the collaboration of many people. And at this time, I absolutely want to thank everyone for your part in seeing this vision become a reality, and from my family. I know that through tonight's event that everyone is going to be thanked in some fashion by Mr. Rush, but the whole News, Hickok, and Kennefax family would also like to thank a few extra people as well in addition. We'd first like to thank Merle and Sheila Reichs and their family for doing the initial cleaning out of the building, and to Harry and Barb for storing many of the items that were left in it. We will be forever grateful for your generosity and your support. We'd also like to thank Terry and Carol Costigan for keeping the lines of communication open. Could always give them a call, and they would let us know what's going on with the process. Whenever we had questions, we could always call. What is so very incredible about this entire project from start to finish has been this sense of community. Granted that we have not been behind closed doors when ideas were being negotiated, but each one of us feels this immense sense of gratitude to all of you for all of your work. From visiting other memorials to looking at designs to see what would work in St. Lucas. This project could not have been completed without the endless hours spent by Melvin and Janet Bonesteiner considering all of the necessary aspects of this project to be completed. We are so very pleased with the beautiful memorial that it honors our father's work, his values, and his belief in community and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. We'd like to thank everyone who donated to make this memorial possible. It was great to know that so many people have shown gratitude to our veterans for their service and the sacrifices they made. Thank you to the Community Foundation of Fayette County for awarding St. Lucas Legion $7,040 grant for the memorial. The committee recognized that the Veteran Memorial would promote patriotism and tourism. Thank you to the family of Arnold and Irma and the family of Edmund and Rosie Guerin for donating the benches within the memorial. We'd like to thank the families of Delbert Winter, Cletus Meyer, and Mark Mim for their very generous donations. Thank you to the the families of Jim Cruzy and Father Alois Schmidt for their words, encouragement, and their support. Thank you to Don Sweet from Sunburst Memorials and John Keener, our local monument salesman, for helping with the design of the monuments. A very heartfelt thank you to Chris Rice and his crew from Rice Landscaping for the superb job of landscaping the benches and doing the benches, plaques, and the engraving. It is a beautiful tribute. Thank you to Roush Construction for the groundwork, Claire Carlin for painting the wall on the car wash. Also thank you to John Patterson for doing the concrete work underneath the monuments, and to Mark Smith for doing the electrical work, and Steve and Jeff Schmidt, who come to play the taps at the funeral services for our members presently. What a better way to thank our veterans than to build a memorial to honor them for their service to our country. This evening, our guest speaker is Daryl Branhagen, our state representative and a veteran of the war in Afghanistan.
This is quite a group. I wondered why I was invited here until Mr. Bodensteiner informed me that somebody had heard my speech at the Memorial Day Parade. And I said, you realize it was raining in the Memorial Day Parade, so my speech was very short. He said, yes, that would be a good speech. I thank you for inviting me. I'm not here as your state representative. I'm here as a veteran. That is who I am. That is what I really believe in. I appreciate Mayor Roush, Father Schmidt, commanders, both of the Fort Atkinson and the St. Lucas Legions, and all the veterans that have come here. We really appreciate your service. I'm going to talk a little about courage and the courage of veterans. And this is an especially important place to do so because these memorials are very rare, and they're very rare, and this one is especially very well done. And to dedicate an initial memorial to our veterans is something extremely special for anybody. But let me talk a little bit about courage. I don't think we're born with it. Sometimes it can be spontaneous, as it often is on the battlefield. But I believe a lot of courage is learned. And it's learned by the communities that you come from. How else can you see two men in two so different wars as Chaplain Schmidt and Medic James Cruz doing much of the same thing so many years apart? It must come from the community they come from. The courage to serve in battle, I believe, comes from your family and from your friends and from your faith and a belief in some other than just yourself. And the community builds men and women with the courage to do what they do. I'd like to also thank the family of Luane News that's been mentioned before. I think this is a wonderful place for this memorial. But you know, your community is being built as we speak. As we speak, they're getting ready for a 15K run. I suspect on top of that hill there are a bunch of kids throwing corn packets at 6-inch holes. But that is how a community is built. And that is how you have great people in a community. You know, our forebears and our forefathers built this country. You know, we build on what they do. And our forefathers prepared them for us, prizing individual freedom more than anything else. And in that regard, I challenge each of you to continue to make this country great. I want you to teach your children what makes this country great. I want you to dedicate yourselves to hard work, to sacrifice and service to the community, such as things like this memorial. I especially like to talk to little children at these events, and I like to ask them, what is great? What is exceptional about the United States of America? And I didn't see any young children, but I did see Miss Iowa at St. Lucas here. So where is she? Raise your hand. She was here. Ah, there she is. So I asked her, and she started talking to me about the sacrifices that the people in this community and everywhere throughout our country makes for our freedom and for our liberty. And she goes on. And I said, well, that's pretty good. The answer I usually get from littler kids are something a little less awesome, such as the freedom to ride my bicycle anywhere, or to choose my own ice cream. But when I ask children that, I'm trying to teach them a lesson. There is something great about the United States, and it must continue to be great. And you are the people who do make it great. I also challenge you to challenge others when they say we are not great, because that is defeatism. This is a wonderful country. We have shed blood in every generation for the freedoms and liberties we have. They don't always wear the VFW or the American Legion or the disabled veterans hats, but they're each and every of you that contribute toward it. And our real challenge is to build upon what others have done before us and make things better. I have a hard time saying this, but it has once been said that when we look at our flag, it does not fly in the wind, but it flies with the last breath of veterans before us. So thank you. Thank God for the United States of America, and God bless America.
Thank you. One other thing we want to do, Jack Adams is here. Could he stand for a minute, because he did taps for a number of years in St. Lucas? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brannigan. When the Legion planned this memorial, they wanted to pay special tribute to the two young men who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. Father Aloysius Schmidt and Private First Class James Cruzy. Here to pay tribute to Father Al and Jim is Ken Winter, a 1967 graduate from St. Lucas School and a classmate of James Cruzy.
I almost feel like I need to fill in the gap, a little story. Greater love has no one than this, that one laid down his life for his friends. That's right from our Bible, John 15:13. Today we recognize Father Aloysius Smith and Private First Class James Cruzy. The military occupations that these two men had chosen were ones that were unselfishly served others, a chaplain and a medic. Father Schmidt was born on December 4th, 1909 on a farm near St. Lucas. He was the son of Henry and Mary Kinnan Schmidt, and a brother to Nicholas, Matthew, William, Bernard, Teresa, Francis, Helen, Elizabeth, and Sister Mary Germain. I don't think they're all here. Big crowd. After completing grade school at St. Luke's, he received his high school education at Campion Academy in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. In 1932, he graduated from Loras College in Dubuque. His theology studies were completed at North America College in Rome. Father Schmidt was ordained on December 8, 1935 in Rome. His assistant pastor positions were in New Vienna, Iowa, Cheyenne, Wyoming, and St. Mary's in Dubuque. His military commitment came when he was commissioned as a chaplain in the U.S. Navy on July 10, 1939. Then being placed on the carrier, the USS Yorktown, and later still the battleship USS Oklahoma. Pearl Harbor and the USS Oklahoma were attacked by the Japanese on December 7, 1941. 5 torpedoes took the USS Oklahoma. Father Schmidt at the time was saying Mass. At that time in his life was taken as he heroically saved 12 of his own shipmates while the Oklahoma sank to the bottom of the harbor. Rightfully, Father Schmidt was awarded a Navy and Marine Corps citation describing his heroism. Joseph Campbell said it well. A hero is someone who has given his or her life something bigger than oneself. Private First Class James Arthur Cruzy was born on March 18, 1949 at the New Hampton Hospital to Neil and Melania Cruzy. He was the 5th of 7 children, the 4th son. His siblings were and are Helen, Jerome, Don, Jean, Mary, and Ann. He graduated in 1967 from St. Luke's High School here in St. Lucas. The high school was closed at the end of that year, and the class of 67 has a monument especially for James. In going around collecting the money for that, I can't believe the number of people who supported the possibility of putting up a monument for our classmate. It was easy. Jimmy entered the Army on May 6, 1968, going through basic training at Fort Bliss, Texas. He left for Vietnam on May 3, 1969, Fort Lewis, Washington. He was a medic with the Army Medical Corps. According to a letter dated June 29, 1969, by Lieutenant Colonel George V. Ellis, he was the infantry commander, on June 10, 1969,